Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Tailored by Debbie here. Today we're going to be making an adorable sheep sitting on a wooden egg. If you like this type of DIY content, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you'll always be notified when I put up new content. And give my channel a hype, guys. It really does help. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be using one of the styrofoam hearts that you can get at the Dollar Tree and one of these wood egg shapes that's freestanding that you can also get at the Dollar Tree. And I just took the foam heart and laid it on some paper and cut out about an inch and a half to about an inch to an inch and a half bigger than the heart all the way around. And that's what I'm going to use for my template to cut out some Sherpa fabric. Now I just cut up an old hoodie that I got on clearance to get this fabric, but you can buy Sherpa in fabric stores anywhere they sell fabric. So now I'm just going to roughly cut out this fabric just by laying this down. It does not have to be perfect. Okay, now on this little piece, I want to cut out a shape to go on the back side of the heart. So I'm just going to kind of roughly cut the actual diameter of the heart. All right, so we'll put the smaller piece to the side, and this we're going to use as the front of the heart. And you're just going to kind of lay it on, and then what you want to do is you just want to start gluing, and I'm just using hot glue. You want to start gluing. This is the back of the Sherpa. You will want to use a finger protector, and then you just want to start gluing your Sherpa on to the foam heart. Okay, now that all of that is glued on there, we're going to take this piece and we're going to glue it just over the top. Okay, so we're done with the heart, and we're going to lay down our wood. And I'm just going to be using some Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Glacier. It's a nice pastel blue color. You can paint it any color you want. I have a piece of gray felt, and then they have these eggs out at my Dollar Tree right now. I have this just to use for the size. I'm just kind of cutting a rough shape around this to begin with, and then we'll even it up. I like to use these wood cutouts for patterns because I have them in my crafting stash already. And if I have something like this readily available, that way I don't have to worry about figuring out how to cut out a nice egg shape. So this is going to be his head. Now, the way I made my sheep on these styrofoam sheep, you can do them with the heart humps up or down. I've done them both ways, but I like them best with the rounded part of the heart as the bottom of the sheep. And then we're just going to hot glue it on. All right, then we're going to let that dry. Now for the little tuft of fur on the head, I like to use something to support it. And I had some of these little snowman cutouts that have this nice little bottom part. I'm going to take my angle cutters here. These are my wire cutters that I use. I bought them at Home Depot, but often they're cheaper on Amazon, so I'll put them down in the description box below. They're wonderful. They cut everything. I've had them over 2 years now, and they're still just as sharp as the day I got them. So you see, cutting off the bottom part of that little snowman, that gave us a nice little shape for us to use to glue some more of that Sherpa around. So now we're just going to lay that down, and we're going to cut probably a 1/2 inch. And then we're going to cut 4 slits just around the circle. Then we're going to sit it in the middle, and we're going to glue between one slit where we cut it to another, and then we're going to fold it over and do that all the way around. I want the pointy part of the heart to be the top of my sheep's head, so I'm going to glue it to where part of this is on the Sherpa and part of it is on the felt. All right, now for eyes, I'm using doll eyes that I got at Michael's, and they're in the sewing section at my store. They're just little pointy things that have eyeballs on them. They're perfect for this type of craft. And if you didn't have those, you could just use thumbtacks. All right, so you just kind of want to figure out where you want the little sheep's eyes to be. And we're just going to stick the X-Acto knife down where we want the eyeball to go. Just make a slit. Kind of keep your eye where it is. And you're going to take your hot glue tool and just squirt a little bit of glue down in there. You want to work fast and either stick your push pin or your little doll eyes down in there. And then you want to go ahead and find where you want to put your second one and do the same thing. Just press and hold until you feel like they're good and set. Now for the ears, what I did, I have this, again, a piece of wood. It's kind of in the shape of an oval. I cut out 2 of these and I just folded over my felt. I'm just going to stick his little ears more up underneath the Sherpa fur. Okay, for the nose, these little hearts come in a pack from the Dollar Tree. They have them out for Valentine's Day. I'm going to round the point of the heart off just a little bit on this one because it is so pointy. Just going to kind of trim it off with my wire cutters. Next, we're going to use some blush. This is just blush I picked up from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to put some blush on this wood heart. Just gives it a subtle pink. And then we're going to glue that with the round part of the heart down. I like a big nose. I just think it's so cute. We're going to glue that down. All right, now for the bow, this ribbon came from Dollar Tree. I like to use what's called the bunny ear method to tie it like a shoestring bow. You just take a piece of the ribbon, hold it out, make 2 little bunny ears, cross one over the other, and then take that. And what I do, I just push it down and then through that loop we made at the bottom. Let that tail flip over and pull the loops of the bow tight until you get it how big you want the loops to be. And then I'm just going to cut at an angle. I like the longest part of the angle to be toward the center of the bow. Angle up. kind of eyeball it and try to do them approximately the same. So there's our little bow, and I'm just going to glue that kind of in the middle of that wool tuft on the top of her head. We're going to put that to the side and let it dry. Now, these beads I got on a garland from Dollar General, but you can use wood beads from the Dollar Tree, anywhere like that. And jute, they do sell jute at the Dollar Tree. Sometimes it's in the hardware section, sometimes it's over in the crafting section. I bought this at Walmart. I have it on hand, so I'm going to use it. Now, you can try to just stick your jute through the hole in your bead. If you have trouble, one solution that I do, I like to take just some painter's tape, tape it around the end like so, and then you want to cut it at an angle, make kind of a point like that, and that will be much easier often to go through these bead holes. See how easy that just came right through there. I go ahead and string both beads on the end. I'll go ahead and tie one knot. This is such thick jute, I'll only have to tie one knot to keep the bead from going. And then I'm going to measure. I want about 3 inches of it to be hanging down, but I'm going to cut it 4 inches because we need a little bit of jute to stick up inside to attach these to our sheep. And go ahead and tie a knot in this one. Okay, push it to the end, 3 inches, and then an extra inch. Okay, so we're not going to attach these until later, but we have them ready. Now, to attach our sheep to the back of the egg, we need a paint stick. But all we're going to do is we're going to measure on the back of this egg. So right there where the paint stick kind of curves in, I'm going to come down a finger width below that, and we're going to cut. So all you do, just eyeballing it, is lay it in here. And then where this is straight across, you just move the saw back and forth until it's cut. All right, now we're going to paint it the same color. We only need to paint one side. We don't have to paint the side that's going to be glued to the egg other than just a little bit in case it shows when we stick the heart on. But other than that, we're going to paint the sides and then this entire side just with one coat of the blue. I'm going to go ahead and go over to my laser. Now, if you don't have a laser, you could find a design in Design Space. If you have a Cricut, cut out some vinyl and put it on there, or you could hand letter some letters or get some stickers from the Dollar Tree or rub-on transfers. There's lots of different things. You could just paint your egg and put polka dots on it. You don't have to put this design or these words on your egg. You could just make a little hang tag that says, "He left the 99 to find me," if you like this idea, but you don't have a laser engraver. But I am going to take this over to my laser. I'm going to engrave this pattern on the egg, and then I'll be right back. Didn't that turn out great, y'all? I have an X2 F1 Ultra laser. If you wanted to know which type of laser I just used, we're going to take it and turn it over on the back. And then the side where we've left a little bit of paint at the top, that's going to be what the side we put into our sheep. So we're just going to kind of eyeball where we want that to go. And then we're going to take our X-Acto knife and cut a slit straight across the bottom here. And then we can kind of dry fit our piece of wood. Okay. We're going to squirt just some hot glue up in there. Just going to squirt some hot glue in that slit and then just kind of hold it there. Okay, so you want the unfinished part of the stick to be on the front where the sheep head is, and this painted side will be on the back. Next, I sanded the wood a little bit so wood would be glued to wood. I put 2 beads of Type Bond Quick and Thick glue and 1 bead of hot glue, and then I just turned this around and glued it on, held it down just for a few seconds until the glue was set. These are the 2 sides of the sheep's upper thighs, I guess. So I'm just going to take and stab it with this X-Acto knife. And then I have a chopstick. You could use a wood skewer. You just kind of want to make that hole a little bit bigger. Squirt a little bit of glue up in there. And then take your piece of jute and stick that up in there. But then, to make it be even more secure, take a piece of scrap Sherpa, and while that glue is still hot, just stuff it up inside of that hole. Okay, that's going to do 2 things. That's going to help secure your piece of jute, and I'm even going to stick it up in there just a little bit more. It's going to help secure that, and it's going to fill up the hole completely. And because the Sherpa is kind of bulky, you're not even going to be able to tell. Okay? And then you're going to repeat the same steps on the other side. How cute, y'all. But that's all there is to making one of these little sheep sitting on the wooden eggs, y'all. This is just for inspiration. You can use whatever you have on hand. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.